Okay, God. Okay. Okay, good lord. That is very loud. Um, the ringing seems to be coming from the depths of my consciousness. Okay, let me just fucking let me have a second here. Okay, let's get this intro over with. Yo, what's going on, guys? J.Yumeko here. Today we're back with some more Everlasting Summer. It's been a week, maybe, since I last posted an Everlasting Summer video. And I know I just uploaded a couple of days ago, maybe, depending on when I decide to get this out. But yeah, I wanted to start giving you guys more content again. So yeah, here we are. We're back in the action. And I'm excited. I've noticed that, surprisingly, this series has actually been doing a lot better than I figured it would be doing. It's actually, I think, one of my most popular series on this channel. So yeah, thank you guys so much for the support on that. And then, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Let's get right back into this. But after I came into my senses, I realized that the cause of this ringing is my alarm clock. Oh, and sorry if I sound, like, really nasally. These allergies are really hitting me hard, so I'm very sorry about that. Strange, where did it come from? Why is it standing near my bed? Oh, I might need to get some water. It was 7:30 according to the clock. Olga Dmitrievna had already left, and there was nobody to force me to go to the lineup. Thus, I can sleep a bit more. I closed my eyes, but seemed like my consciousness had already had its coffee and was ready for a long, productive day. I need to get up. I should plan my day out. After all, I need to at least find out something today. But still, nothing came to my head. Fine, I need to wake myself up completely and wash myself. On the way to wash my hands, I met Xenia. What's got you up so early? Anything wrong with being up early? And so, sorry if I, like, change up these voices. It's been so long that I might not remember all of them, so that's another thing. She looked at me as if I had insulted her. No, nothing, just curious. None of your business. Gosh, Xenia isn't very sympathetic even when she's in a good mood, but today she looked furious. The cold water perked me up. The fog in my head dissipated and my thoughts started arranging themselves. Curiously, I started to wonder about finding a good place in the canteen more than about finding answers. I brushed my teeth and was going to leave, when a quiet sound wafted past my ears. It's probably a squirrel or some other animal. I heard another sound, this time a bit farther. I walked 10 meters along the path, searching for the source. Nobody, just the moving forest. I returned to the wash stands and saw Miku, who was looking for something in the grass. Noticing me, she smiled and jumped up to me.
Oh, hello, good morning. I accidentally scattered my tooth powder, just trying to gather it all back up.
The dewy grass didn't seem to be helping matters. Are you sure that's a good idea?
Well, why? What else can I do? I don't have it anymore. It was the last I had.
She pouted like a child who had just lost her favorite toy, who had just had her favorite toys taken away from her. Here, I'll give you mine. I dug into my bag. No tooth powder there. Strange. Didn't I just put it there? I walked away for a minute, and now it's gone. Listen, it looks like I've forgotten it. I didn't want to have to tell her that it had just gone missing. Knowing the sensitivity of this girl, it was safe to assume that vanishing household goods would impress her so much that her brain would reset itself in order to avoid overheating. Well, I'll be off.
Yeah, cheers. Visit us. Visit me in the music club. I'm still alone there. But I...
Miku's voice faded in the freshness of the summer morning far behind me. Come on, man! We gotta be a little bit nicer to the Miku, right? Getting back to the leader's cabin, I took my cell phone and looked at the battery meter. Enough power for a day, maybe even less. Of course it won't help much here, but still. Finding a charger in the 80s would mean inventing it. Still, regardless, the morning was shining and beautiful. The bright sun was shining over the space and time displaced pioneer Camp Sovyanok, warming its residents and filling them with energy to spend the day productively. Or, in my case, to waste it in futile efforts to find an explanation for everything happening here. There was an unusually large crowd near the canteen. Of course, there was no other place in the camp that pioneers loved as much as the canteen, but why were there all crowds standing on the porch? I came closer to find out what was going on. It looked like all the camp had gathered at the porch. There were all the familiar girls, Olga Dmitrievna and Electronic. They were having a lively discussion. I drew closer.
Ah, Semyon, have you seen Shirk today?
Nope, what's the matter?
We haven't been able to find him since early morning.
Disappearing pioneers. Well, that's something new.
But he was with you yesterday?
She was talking to Electronic.
Yeah, he was. So you woke him up this morning and he wasn't anywhere to be found? No. Why didn't you come to me immediately? Well, I thought he got up earlier and went to wash up or something. Did he mention anything yesterday?
Interjected Slavia.
For example? That he was going somewhere, for instance? Nope.
What exactly is so horrifying about that? It's only 9 a.m. He might have just decided to go for a walk.
You don't know Shirk.
She looked over at me seriously. Well, no, I don't. But I didn't see anything see anything suspicious in this situation.
Okay, let's stop panicking. We'll find him. How can he miss breakfast?
Ulyana grinned. Exactly. Time to eat anyway. The pioneers proceeded into the canteen. Yet again, I had no choice where to fit in. The only free place was at the table with Alyssa and Ulyana.
Take a seat.
She pointed at the chair next to her. I sat down.
Aren't you gonna get your food?
Fuck, man. Her voice is really difficult. And good idea. I hadn't thought about that. Today's breakfast didn't look much different from yesterday's, but it looked more appetizing. Or maybe I was just very hungry. Or maybe I was eager to finish it off as soon as possible to avoid yet another Ulyana prank.
Want to go to the beach with us today?
When?
Right after breakfast.
Generally speaking, relaxation wasn't on my agenda today. But if I was going to spend my time thinking, why shouldn't I do it while getting a suntan? Sure, why not?
Ah, cool.
She smiled nicely. Sheesh, I really feel like I'm butchering her voice right now. I bet you're planning another prank.
No, not at all.
Ulyana waved her hands at me. She sure is. Alyssa grinned. She's always like that. I looked at Alyssa attentively and suddenly remembered yesterday evening. Her strange behavior, our quarrel. But now she looked like usual. Maybe there's no need to say anything to her. Though, I wasn't going to. At the end of the day, everything that happened that night stopped seeming unusual. As if it was all just a dream.
No way.
I think she's right.
Nobody believes me.
Ulyana took her tray of dirty dishes and stood up.
Enjoy your meal.
She said it in such a way which left no doubts. Nothing good awaits me today at the beach. Me and Alyssa were left alone. You know, I guess I shouldn't go with you after all. Why's that? Well, I've got something to do. And what exactly would that be? She looked in my eyes and I couldn't even find an appropriate excuse. I don't even have a swimsuit. Try mine. You think it'll fit me? Give it a try. I don't think it's worth the effort.
Don't be a wimp. We'll find you some swimming trunks.
Those words only added to my fear.
Wait for me by the canteen. I'll be back soon.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with waiting for her, is there? Finishing my breakfast, I left the building and sat on the stairs. Pioneers, all having their own business, hurried past me one by one. No one stopped me. No one even looked in my direction. It seemed they didn't consider me a stranger, but exactly the opposite. Just another teenager their age. Their comrade, you could say. I caught myself thinking that I had started to consider this camp and its inhabitants with not as much caution as I had on the first day. Indeed, Alyssa was back in a couple of minutes. Ready? Ready for what? She gave me the trunks, though you could hardly call them trunks. They looked like pink boxers decorated with butterflies and flowers. Actually, they were boxers. I'm almost afraid to ask, but where did you get these?
Too scared to put them on?
Well, you know, I have not the slightest intention of doing so. I appreciated her joke, but wasn't going to make myself a laughingstock.
Put them on,
she said roughly.
Why don't you try them on instead of me? I think the color of this swimsuit would set off your eyes very nicely.
Huh, let's make a bet. I had no desire to accept her bets. No thanks.
Alright, you either go to the beach wearing them or you swim naked.
Weighing the pros and cons, even the second option seems better at first. I'm not planning to go anywhere at all.
Then I'll tell everyone that you left these trunks in my cabin.
Why would I do that?
How should I know?
She burst into laughter. I didn't want to argue with Alyssa, so I decided to go to the beach in the end. But not in those flamboyant trunks. Okay, I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Don't be late.
She ran off after saying that. I dragged my feet to the leader's cabin to get a towel and to hopefully find something like trunks. Why not just wear like shorts or something? Olga Dmitrievna was waiting for me in the room.
Semyon, did you hear anything about Shurik?
The same as half an hour ago. I walked to my bed and took a towel.
Are you going somewhere?
Yeah, to the beach.
Wait, do you have swimming trunks? You came here without any luggage, as I recall.
Strange. That fact didn't seem to surprise her during our first encounter. No.
So what will you wear?
Good question. What? I don't know.
Wait a minute.
She walked to the wardrobe and unlocked a drawer. In a moment, she had a pair of normal black trunks. Where did she get those? More importantly, why? Someone from the previous session might have forgotten them. Considering all the strange things in this camp, it wasn't really surprising to find men's swimming trunks in Olga Dmitrievna's room. Thanks. The trunks were just my size. How convenient. I got changed behind the cabin and went to the beach. A lot of pioneers had already gathered there, but I recognized only Alyssa and Ilyana.
Come here.
I walked over to them and sat on the sand.
Ooh, God.
Goddamn girl.
I see you found something better.
She stared at my trunks and smirked.
As you can see... Come on, let's swim.
I don't wanna. Maybe later. I was not a fan of swimming.
Suit yourself.
The girls ran into the water. Why did I come here? Why am I not looking out for answers? Should I care about it now? Savyunuk seemed normal. Certainly a lot of strange things have happened to me these 3.5 days, but none of them taken separately seemed at all supernatural. Especially since I didn't get any closer to finding so much as a clue. On the contrary, everything that has happened has only confused me more. What alternatives do I have? I won't get any truth from the local residents, though I doubt they even know it. Should I try and leave this place? But how far can I walk considering that I don't even know where I am? It turns out that my only option is to wait. After some time, the girls came back. Ilyana held something in her hands.
Look!
I looked up and saw a crayfish. Just a normal crayfish. Whoa! Whoa! Hold up, brother! Ilyana lay next to me and started to torment it. Leave the poor animal alone.
Why? It's just a crayfish.
So what? It has a right to live too.
I'll rip its claws off and ask the cook to boil it for dinner.
As if we have nothing else to eat. I looked at Alyssa. She seemed to be totally uninterested in Ilyana's fun with the poor sea creature. Tell her. What's wrong? It's a crayfish. It deserves it. It looks like the girls missed their lessons on nature in primary school and lacked empathy for the environment. Give it. I snatched the crayfish off Ilyana.
Suit yourself.
I was a little surprised she didn't resist. I looked into the eyes of the poor animal. They didn't express anything at all, but I thought that if it could speak, it would certainly be outraged. Maybe it would even go to the UN Convention of Human Rights. To tell the truth, I wasn't sure that would help. I took the crayfish to the river and set it free.
Never mind, I'll catch more. There are plenty of them here,
said Ilyana. No doubt about it, I mumbled. Time passed and I was getting sleepy. I fell asleep. I don't remember what I was dreaming about, if I was dreaming at all, but I woke up when someone stroked my shoulder. Olga Dmitrievna stood next to me. God damn, brother! For Pioneer, listen, man, I don't know what the Soviets was doing in these camps, but goddamn. Did you come to swim too? I asked, still half asleep.
No. It's almost time for lunch and we still can't find Shurik,
the leader said, standing before me in a wet swimsuit. And?
I want you to look for him. It seems like I'm the only pioneer in this entire camp.
I was sincerely outraged. Every time it was getting clearer that Olga Dmitrievna considered me her errand boy, to be used like a slave. Or vice versa.
If I came to you, then I want you to help me.
Why exactly me? However, after giving it some thought, I decided to agree. After all, my shoulders and back got sunburned while I was asleep, and searching for Shurik would help me get acquainted with unexplored locations of the camp. Okay. It was not exactly right to wander around wearing only swimming trunks, so I should get changed first. 10 minutes later, I stood outside Olga Dmitrievna's cabin, deciding where to go. Okay. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that he's gonna be in the forest somewhere. It was obvious that Olga Dmitrievna and her pioneers had already searched every nook and cranny of the camp, roamed the length and breadth of it. So probably it's not worth looking for Shurik in the canteen or on the beach, or in the cybernetics club. It was his second home, or maybe even his first. Thus, it might be worth looking around the surrounding forest. I didn't plan to go far into the forest, otherwise it might be me who they'll be searching for tomorrow. I didn't really visit the countryside often. I just stayed in a country house every summer during my childhood. But that one was very close to the city. But in this camp, it was possible to find everything I hadn't seen for so long. Overwhelming vegetation, singing birds, and fresh air. I found a meadow and sat on a stump. How peaceful this place is. But where in the world is Shurik? Actually, he could have been taken against his will. This camp is far from normal, so pioneer disappearances should not be all that strange. An intriguing possibility. Could it be the work of whichever force sent me here? Or is it just some separate local entity's doing? Lost in my own thoughts, I didn't notice how the grass before me started moving. I looked closely and saw a squirrel. It approached me carefully and stared at my hands. Probably used to getting fed here. Sorry, friend, I don't have anything on me. Of course, the squirrel could not understand me and continued to just sit there, waiting for treats. I felt sorry for it because I didn't have even a crumb of bread in my pocket. I realized that I'm even ashamed to look it in the eyes and decided to move on. After some more wandering, I came to the washstands. Turns out that he's not in the forest either, at least not in the surrounding area. And going farther is just frightening. I walked to the washstands, took off my shirt and tried to wipe myself down because I was all sweaty. However, it wasn't so easy. I won't be able to get into the wash bowl and there isn't even a ladle. Suddenly, I heard footsteps from behind. I turned around. Electronic was walking in my direction.
Looking for Shurik?
Yeah. You too?
Me too.
Listen, you know him better. Where could he be gone?
I don't have a clue,
he answered sadly. Well, I just don't understand why everyone has to make such a fuss. During the night, wasn't he in the cabin with you? Then he can't have been gone for too long. Maybe he went for a walk.
You don't know Shurik,
said Electronic excitedly.
He is fanatically dedicated to his work. His life consists of robotics and cybernetics. People like him are one in a million. No, in a billion. His talent is boundless. I look up to him. He's a man of steel. So, no, simply triumphant. At that moment, he looked like Hitler, making a speech in front of a crowd of thousands. Even his gestures matched. Okay, so what? So what? You don't understand, do you? No. He spends all of it, you see? All of his free time in our club. All! So, disappearing just like that is unusual for him. Of course! Seems like Electronic calmed down. Okay. He looked at me intently. Are you gonna wash? Not really, just rinse off a little. It's hot. Me too. He looked around. I wish there was a bucket or a ladle, something to get more water with. Yeah, I noticed that already. Then let's do this. He walked behind the washstands and pulled on one of the taps. To my surprise, its end turned up, and rather than pouring into the wash bowl, the water splashed up at almost 90 degrees. You can manage to wash yourself that way. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? What? Oh my god. Meanwhile, Electronic took off his shirt and then squatted, so it seemed like he pulled down his shorts. I couldn't really tell because the washstands he was behind concealed him up to his waist. He directed the stream towards himself and started to sing something quietly. Let's clean my chimney, chimney sweep. I actually hate this. I stood astonished, not knowing what to do. He seemed to notice it. I'll wash myself and then let you use it. See, like, with just this imaging, I feel really bad that I gave him such, like, a prepubescent voice. Gosh, I got such a massive chill. Well, you know, I just remembered that I have something to do. I gotta go. Out of all the eccentricities of Electronic, the moment I just saw was the weirdest one. Hey, what's up with you? A cold shower on a hot day such as this is the best thing ever. No. That won't do. And anyway, I have to go. I put on my shirt quickly and ran back into the forest. I wonder what's gotten into him. Okay. I feel like the bus stop might be the place to look. Oh, what's this? Oh, okay, never mind. I can search here as well. Who's there? Two people I don't think I've met before. Oh, you know what? This is just, what is it? Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. That's what it is. Because I saw, like, the character with the bag on his head. And I was like, huh, who's that? But then I realized that's fucking me. I have a feeling maybe he's down at the boathouse. Maybe he is at the bus stop. Huh. My gut says boathouse, so I'm gonna go there. Maybe Shirk decided to pick up some stones near the water. In the worst case, I'll find his corpse. But I'm sure that it won't end up that way. I was crossing the square when someone called out to me. Wait! Alyssa came up and smiled. I immediately sensed a trap. Where you going? I'm searching for Shirk. Olga Dmitrievna asked me to. And how is it? Exciting? She looked intently into my eyes and turned away awkwardly. Not really. But, you know, a pioneer's missing. Surely you're not freaking out over such a minor thing. What do you mean? Only a few hours have passed. Maybe he just lost track of time while having a walk. Certainly I'd have the same idea, but I wasn't telling her that. Yeah, that's true. But who knows what could have happened. Let me help you with it. With what? I got suspicious. With looking for Shirk. Oh, but I can do it. Oh, come on. She smiled at me, but there was something malevolent in that smile. Naturally, her smile was cute, though, but it really seemed to me like there was something behind it. Well, if you insist. Since I couldn't understand what was on her mind, I had no real reason to refuse. But before we go, I have to get one thing from home. Okay, I'll wait for you. You're actually serious about just standing there? Let's go. Okay. We approached Alyssa's cabin. It would be just like all the other cabins, if not for the Jolly Roger on the door. By the way, Oyan is my roommate.
Okay.
We entered the cabin. The complete chaos inside reminded me of my old flat. Though, why I thought of it as old. In general, I would imagine a girl's room differently. Snow white sheets, walls, floor, and ceiling shining, spotless. But when you consider that I can't. Okay, fuck, I can't talk. But when you consider that the two most exemplary pioneers are living here, we just stood there silently for some time. And what did you need to get? Huh? It seems like I interrupted Alyssa's thinking. Yeah, it's not here actually. Wait here, I'll be back in a minute. She smiled and ran out. She seems really flaky today. I began to examine the room. I wouldn't say that there had been an explosion. It was just a decent mess. Well, at least by looking at all this mess created in one pioneer session, I can surely say that I am not the messiest person in the world. The decoration of my apartment took years to complete. I wasn't thinking about anything in particular, was just looking around the room. I saw posters of Soviet artists, some books on the shelves, various household items, and then I realized that everything is wrong. Something will happen soon. Something bad. Why did Alyssa leave me here all alone? There was something I had to discover. But my gut told me that it's dangerous to stay here. I went to the door and tried to open it. Locked. What a surprise. How did she manage to quietly lock me in? I don't know what's on her mind, but I need to get out of here. I went to the window, opened it, and climbed out. It was that simple, huh? Now I can go and take care of business. Or, I chose the second option and waited. What is the reason she had me locked up? I wanted to know what was happening. Plus, I really wanted to see Alyssa's face when she finds her room empty. I hid in the bushes next to the house and waited. After some time, I heard footsteps. Alyssa and Olga Dmitrievna came to the house. You'll see everything for yourself. She opened the door and went in. A few seconds later, she ran back out. You know, Alyssa's face looked as if she just won the mouse catching competition, but at the last moment found out that it's not a real Olympic sport. So he just disappeared? Olga Dmitrievna asked skeptically. Oh my god. I did the right thing by closing the window after myself. Oh no. You know, I understand everything. Oh god. Dvachevskaya. You and your roommate, every time the same thing. Haven't you had enough yet? But it's true. Really. One story after another. Semyon in your cabin. Semyon harassing you. Why do you keep lying? That's horrible. Alyssa seemed really upset and, to my surprise, was not trying to argue. On the one hand, it was funny to look at her, but on the other hand, I felt a bit sorry for that fucking name. I'm just gonna say Alyssa. I felt a bit sorry for Alyssa. She deserves it, though. Our leader finally finished scolding her and left. Alyssa was mad. She clenched her fists and trembled. Her face was flushed. It seemed to me like she was going to explode. I sat in the bushes and laughed quietly. However, I was wondering what was on her mind, and I came out of my hiding place, not afraid of being beaten. So, what exactly did you want to show the leader? Me? Alyssa turned and looked at me with disbelief. After a moment, surprise turned into anger. You! What about me? She calmed down a bit. Because you're a loser! And why's that? Because you're afraid to compete with me! When? When we played cards! What a serious reason. Yeah, maybe I should apologize to you? I asked sarcastically. Screw you! She went into the house, slamming the door. I wasn't angry at Alyssa. In the end, I'd expected her to do something like this. Anyway, I got through it without consequences. I was very lucky. Her confusion and embarrassment just made my day. Chuckling, I left Alyssa's cabin, which was about to become my death trap. I went for lunch with mixed feelings, with a sense of accomplishment and with the realization of time wasted. The canteen was crowded. I couldn't stay unnoticed. Olga Dmitrievna called me. Semyon, come with us.
The camp leader, Slavia, and Electronic were sitting at the 4-seat table. I nodded and went to get my food. This time I had to spend several minutes in the queue. Today's menu didn't really differ from the other day's menus. The dishes looked the same, at least. When I sat at the table and wished bon appetit to everyone, Olga Dmitrievna said,
So, what are you thinking?
About what?
We searched for Shirk all around. It's noon and he's nowhere to be found.
I took a note of the rhyme, but didn't want to point it out.
We looked all around the camp. I went all around the neighboring forest.
Olga Dmitrievna looked at me.
And I helped too. We must call the police. Maybe we should wait until the evening.
I asked lazily. Maybe he went home.
That can't be. Shirk lives thousands of miles away.
By train?
The nearest station,
She paused.
is far off.
Now it was getting interesting. Every time the conversation reached the point concerning ways I could leave Sovyanok, all the camp inhabitants started changing the subject. How far is far?
Really far.
The camp leader looked at me, indicating with her expression that asking more questions was not advised.
So we should go deeper into the forest. Maybe he got lost. Shirk always takes a compass.
Chimed in Electronic. I wonder what else could be found in his magic vest, assuming he has one. If I were to get lost in the forest, a compass would be of no real use.
Police. We should call the police in the evening.
Not right now, at least. Okay, so you'll do it later. Then we were all silent.
We should be able to find him before evening. We still have time. If he actually got lost, we have no time to lose. We cannot be sure. Then where is he? Where?
There was some truth to the camp leader's words. Hiding the whole day just like that is suspicious. Why would he do that? Shirk seemed to me to be quite a serious pioneer. Olyana would have been a better fit for this behavior. So there's a good reason to believe that he was gone. All that can be done has already been done. We'll just have to wait. Slavia, Electronic, and Olga Dmitrievna looked at me sorrowfully, but didn't say a word. I finished my lunch, took the tray back, and left the canteen. It's still the first half of the day. What now? The camp was drifting off for an afternoon nap. Only Genda stared at me through his glasses. Of course, he was staring somewhere else, but I had a feeling that he was constantly watching me. I bet he knows where Shirk is hiding. He just can't say anything. The disappearance of the Cybernetics Club's leader made me think. Maybe it's got something to do with my case.
Oh, Pioneer.
The nurse stood in front of me. I looked at her cautiously.
Go and take my place in the infirmary. I have an urgent call. Somebody's injured.
Me?
Yes, you. Take the keys.
The nurse threw the keys and ran away. Why me? Isn't there anyone else in this camp? What exactly should I be doing? What if something happens? What do I do now? I missed my chance to refuse. See, I've noticed that, like, every time he starts getting into the mood of, like, let's get something done, just so conveniently, somebody comes up and is like, oh, I need you to help me with this or that, you know? I'm a little bit suspicious. I stood in front of the door uncertainly. On the one hand, there's nothing to worry about. I'll spend half an hour or so here, and she'll be back. But what if someone comes for actual help? With a broken leg or a head injury? I began to worry too much. I hope that there are no injuries more serious than bruises and scratches in this camp. But at the same time, I could not shake the idea that in a serious situation, I would be absolutely useless. I don't even know how to perform CPR. A magazine on the nurse's table caught my attention. A good way to relax.
What is that? What is that? This little diagram here. What is that?
Is this aliens? Aliens? This is labeled Soviet fashion. The publication date or month were absent. However, this was not a surprise. There were much stranger things happening here. I didn't know much about Soviet magazines. Maybe they actually didn't have publication dates on them. Models dressed in old-fashioned clothes stared at me from the glossy pages. Nowadays, nobody would wear such clothes. I smirked. I wondered if Slavia, for example, considered this fashionable. I can only imagine what would happen if she appeared in my time wearing something like this. Imagine we were walking hand in hand. I'm wearing my coat with the hood, and she's dressed in a lavish dress, covered with lace and things. Seems like I'm already imagining Slavia in my world. With me. Not only Slavia. This dress better suits Olyana. This cute Seraphon look would look good on Alyssa. This skirt and cardigan would look nice on Lena. If only they could be real. No. I saw them, heard them, could even touch them. But still, they're here and I simply don't belong in this place. It's alien to me. I'm just waiting for a chance to get out of here. Waiting because nothing's up to me anymore. I sighed, put my head on the table, and fell asleep. I was awoken by the noise of the door opening. Lena stood at the door. Yesterday I promised to help her in the infirmary. My cheeks became scarlet shortly, and I turned away, pretending that I'm busy.
The nurse isn't here? Then I'll come back later.
I'm substituting for her. Since I am responsible for pioneers' lives, I should do it with full responsibility. Although, in fact, I was just afraid of something bad happening because of me.
Any health complaints?
I tried to give Lena the most professional smile I could in order not to confuse her.
Nothing special. Just a little headache.
Let's do this. Some painkillers, maybe. Of course, I wasn't aware where to find the required medicines, so it took me a while to find them. Finally, I handed a metabazole tablet to Lena.
Thanks.
She smiled. That was completely unexpected, and I lost touch with reality, staring at her.
What?
Lena turned awkward in an instant. Listen, I've been wondering, do you like this? I don't know what got into me, but I grabbed that magazine from the table and showed her that picture of a skirt and a cardigan, which would really suit Lena in my opinion. Maybe I went completely nuts, thinking about all the girls being in my world. Or maybe I wanted to distract myself instead of just waiting for the nurse to come back. Lena looked at the picture.
Yeah, I guess.
Is stuff like this in fashion?
I guess.
She got confused and started blushing.
Why do you ask?
Really? Why? Here's my thing, right? I think, like, Lena and Alyssa are probably my two favorites at the moment. Because I think you would look just dashing in it.
Thank you.
It's alright. I'm just being completely honest. We were quiet for some time. So, how's your headache?
Much better, thanks to you.
Oh,
much better, thank you.
She smiled.
I'll be off.
Good luck. Lena went out, and I continued to look through the magazine. After a while, somebody knocked at the door again. Seems that the infirmary is the most popular place to go. Suddenly, I decided to roleplay a nurse. Just a male version. And said, "Come in." Oh, shit. The door opened, and Ilyana entered the room. Wow, did I miss the moment when you decided to start knocking?
Anything wrong with me knocking?
She frowned. Where does it hurt?
Why on earth would I tell you? Where's the nurse?
Right in front of you. I imposingly crossed my legs and looked questioningly at her.
I'd better go. It'd be better to die than be treated by you.
She smiled mischievously. You didn't even let me try. Ilyana thought for a moment.
Though you could give me some pills.
What's bothering you? It took her some time to reply.
A heavy stomach.
Sure it's not an empty head? I muttered under my breath.
What did you say?
Nothing. Give me a second. I found the pills in the first drawer I opened.
Thanks, Doc.
She smiled cheerfully. Watching Ilyana, I could not imagine how such an optimistic and active child could have any health problems. Overdose of stolen candies, got food poisoning from the canteen. Overdose of stolen candies, right? She gave me a baleful look.
No, I left everything for you.
Oyana ran out of the infirmary and slammed the door. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Oh, come on, I was just teasing her a little bit. Again, I went back to studying Soviet fashion trends. Time passed, but the nurse was absent still. I wasn't searching for Shurik, wasn't looking for any clues concerning my situation. I was just sitting and flipping through a magazine. Just for a moment, I felt quite satisfied with the situation. So far, everything that has happened here could be seen as just a trip to a summer camp, and if nothing changes anytime soon, then I can start worrying. Again, somebody knocked at the door. Did I miss the outbreak of an epidemic? Slavia was standing at the doorway.
Oh, hi. Isn't the nurse here?
Hi. No, she's not here. I'm taking over for today.
Great. She hesitated.
What?
By the way, Semyon,
Slavia said, and looked intently at me. What?
It seems like I lost my keys. Have you seen them anywhere?
Sure I have. Yes, here. I found them near the canteen yesterday. I wanted to return them to you, but forgot about it. I was really bad at lying. My cheeks are red, my eyes were wandering around, and my hands were constantly shaking. Here. I was already preparing myself for an appropriate scolding, but Slavia only took the keys and said,
Thanks.
So, what did you come in for? I really needed to change the subject. Does anything hurt?
No, it's nothing.
Strange. I wouldn't even think that such an open person as Slavia would keep something quiet. Sheesh, I'm just really struggling here. If there's something bothering you, tell me. That's why I'm here, to treat people. I smiled widely.
No. I mean, yes, but no.
Hearing that made anything possible, even division by 0. So, how can I help you?
You? I guess you can't.
She smiled and was going to leave, but suddenly stopped.
However, could you step outside for a minute?
Why not? Okay. I stepped out of the infirmary and leaned against the wall. I wonder what she might be doing. Something that I even can't see? Oh, something that I can't even see? After a minute, the door opened and Slavia came out. She was carrying a small bundle. I feel like naturally I want to be kind of intrusive. But I feel like it'd be more appropriate to just kind of ignore it. Fuck it, I'm gonna ask. I want to know what it is, man. I'm curious. What is it?
Nothing.
She blushed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's probably like... I don't know, maybe she's on like her period or something? I don't, that's just my guess, man. I really don't know. Like pads or tampons, if they even, you know, have those things in this area. I'm just taking some wild guesses, man. Seems like I shouldn't have asked. I looked at the time. It was getting pretty late. I read the magazine backwards and forwards, but the nurse still wasn't here. Oh, fucking hell. Suddenly, the door burst open and Alyssa rushed inside. She looked at me piercingly. What are you doing here? Sitting. I admitted honestly. Okay then. It's even better without the nurse, she murmured. Are you sick? I asked acidly. Alyssa didn't answer and came closer to me. Move over. Why? So I can open the drawer, isn't it obvious? What for? She got angry. None of your business. Well, I'm kind of in charge here. She gave it a moment's thought. Then give me some activated carbon. Stomachache? Yeah. She grinned sharply. I got the feeling there was something wrong here. I'm not. What the fuck? I'm not giving the Alyssa the activated carbon. She's gonna try and... She's gonna spike my food with it or something. And no. Really. A stomachache. Really? It doesn't seem so. What? Do I have to toss my lunch all over the place for you to believe me? I don't know what terrible things can be done with activated carbon, but I'm sure you'll think of something. She hesitated.
And what if you're right? There! I knew it. Then I'm certainly not giving you anything. Alyssa tried to get to the drawers, but I blocked the pillbox with my chest like Alexander Matrosov. Alexander Matrosov was a Soviet infantry soldier during the Great Patriotic War, posthumously awarded the title of the Hero of the Soviet Union for blocking German machine gun with his chest. Fucking hell, damn. For all of her impudence, she was still just a girl, and she had no chance of pushing me aside. Whatever, I'll find it somewhere else. She turned away and headed to the exit. At the door, Alyssa stopped and looked back. By the way, the camp leader and the nurse are carrying a pioneer with a broken leg. I really don't care, but they seem to be struggling. Yeah, sure. Come see for yourself. Alyssa seemed to be lying, but on the other hand, as long as I can see her. I came to the door and looked outside. No one was there. Where exactly? They haven't reached here yet then. She made a helpless gesture. Have fun! I returned to the table and only then realized that one of the drawers was open. How did she make it so quick? I turned my back for just a second. Though, what evil can come from activated carbon? A lot! This is Alyssa we're talking about here. She'll... It's just like you said, dude. She'll fucking find a way. It was 15 minutes till dinner, and the nurse still wasn't back. I guess just leaving the place like this won't do. She asked me to look after it after all. And who knows what might happen if I leave. Though, who would want to steal anything from here? Except for Alyssa stealing activated carbon. I opened the magazine again and began flipping through it for the nth time. The fashions of the 80s weren't that fun anymore. Yawning got me several times. It was already 6 o'clock, so dinner has already started. Of course, I had to be on watch till the end, but my stomach seemed to have its own opinion on that matter. I stood up and steadily headed to the exit. A rustling sound came from behind the door. Could it be someone else who got poisoned, broke their arm, or something even worse? I sighed heavily and pulled the doorknob. However, there was no one out there. Seems like it was just my imagination. I returned inside and instantly noticed that something had changed in the infirmary. To be precise, an apple had appeared on the table. Nani? But where from? Fruits can't just materialize from thin air by themselves, can they? Though in this camp, anything is possible. Chances are someone just brought it here. Maybe Lena wanted to thank me, given that she's all shy and... But wait! How could she just slip past me like that? Lena wouldn't climb through the window after all. So there must be something else. I was suddenly overwhelmed by fear. What if the apple is poisoned? Though why would someone complicate things when I'm here totally helpless and can be killed way more easily? Or it might be the apple which Eve tasted in the Garden of Eden. In that case, I certainly shouldn't eat it. The same second my stomach reminded me it was there by rumbling traitorously. However, it would take time to close the infirmary, to reach the canteen, to get food. My stomach is about to eat itself. There's nothing wrong, I guess. Once again, I tried to remember if this apple was here or not. In the end, it must have appeared from somewhere. Maybe it got through the window. The shutter was slightly open, so someone must have reached in and put it there. Nothing serious, however. What the f- Okay. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, boy. Can I save? I'm gonna save here. See, look at that. Look at that, baby. Alright, we're gonna eat the apple. Finally, hunger prevailed and started chewing on the ripe green apple with gusto. Its taste seemed normal, though I don't think even the strongest poison can be tasted. But it's too late to think about that. It was time to go for dinner. So what, just like that? Huh, interesting. Alright, well I guess that's that for now. We'll see if we end up going back and, changing that decision. Along the way I ran into Electronic. How's it going? Did you find Shurik? No, still no sign of him. Don't worry. We'll find him. I tried to cheer him up. Too much time has passed. I'll just keep on searching. What about dinner? No, finding Shurik is more important, he muttered thoughtfully. I left him at the crossroads and wished him good luck.
Pioneers crowded in the doorway. I quickened my pace, trying not to be the last one in line, at least for today. And I was lucky. In the far corner was an absolutely empty table. I took my dinner quickly and sat at the table. Tonight's dinner consisted of fruit soup, yeah. Fruit soup and a pair of buns. This set surprised me at first, but the taste was actually nice. I concentrated on eating.
Lena, let's go here. Look, 3 free chairs.
Lena and Miku stood in front of me.
Are these taken?
Wondered Lena. No, take a seat. Of course, I wish you were alone.
Thank you.
As soon as Lena said that, Xenia jumped out from behind her back. I'll sit here. There are no places left, she said, putting her tray on the table and sitting down, not even waiting for my answer. Sure, make yourself at home, I muttered, sorrowfully. What? Nothing. To tell the truth, I wanted to reduce the whole company to just Lena, though neither Miku nor Xenia were causing much trouble, except one was too talkative and the other was too arrogant. But nevertheless, they were absolutely harmless, especially comparing to some others I could name.
Oh, seems like I forgot my key. Don't worry, take mine.
I was surprised by Miku's short reply. Do you live together?
Of course, don't you know? Together, our cabin is the... Didn't you know? Together, our cabin is the rearmost. Farthest from here. The last one.
I wouldn't have been surprised if somebody told me that Lena lived with Slavia. Or with Xenia at the worst. Even electronic. But silent and shy Lena and excessively talkative Miku as a pair. That's really a surprise. Did you find Shurik? It's strange that Xenia is disturbed by someone else's problems. No. Surely he's at the village buying cigarettes. Or vodka. She snorted. Village? Hey, look at that! At that moment, the conversation got much more interesting. Got a problem with villages? Xenia looked amazed. You mean there's a village nearby? I think so, she said uncertainly. I looked at Lena and Miku, but they were busy with their meals and did not pay attention to our conversation. You mean you don't know exactly? Why should I care? Xenia looked at her dish. But there must be something nearby.
Listen.
Listening.
I don't know. Will you let me eat?
Seems like I won't get anything from her. Though there is a chance that she really doesn't know. The remaining time was spent listening to Miku talking about some nonsense. I was just going slowly mad in silence. Obviously, the first thing I did after getting out, was inhale a great breath of fresh air. The sun was setting. I decided to take a walk. It's highly unlikely that I'll find anything more exciting to do for the rest of the evening. That way, something interesting could arise quite unexpectedly. I was approaching the square when I heard a loud bang. It seemed like something had exploded. I was paralyzed. I am in a hostile environment, not knowing the rules and laws of this place. It would be better for me to run. But at the same time, I was curious. Probably I would have just kept standing there, but someone grabbed my hand. It was Olga Dmitrievna.
Why are you standing here? Let's go and see what happened.
Can't you ever manage without me? I begged her pitifully.
It shouldn't be anything serious. I hope. Who is the kid with the broken leg?
Well, I think that was just a ruse by, Who is it? That was just a ruse by fucking Alyssa. When we came to the square, there was already a crowd of pioneers. Olga Dmitrievna vigorously pushed through the crowd and approached the crime scene. Obviously, someone had tried to blow up Genda, but the attackers failed. The monument was still upright. There were only dim ash traces on the pedestal.
Well, who did this?
She looked over the crowd of pioneers. Surely it wasn't done by an organized terrorist organization. These guys all came here just to look at what happened. I noticed Olyana and Alyssa in the crowd, and it looks like our camp leader noticed them too.
You two, come here!
They approached reluctantly.
Why always me?
If you think so.
Show me your hands, Show me your hands, Alyssa.
I'm not even going to try and pronounce that.
What's wrong with them?
I looked closer and saw that they were smeared with black.
Now it's clear. What did you make a bomb with?
The junior terrorist seemed to hesitate over whether or not to confess, but then blurted out proudly. Activated carbon, saltpeter, and sulfur. Wait a minute. Carbon? Carbon that she stole from the first aid kit. Why exactly the monument? What did this honored man ever do to you? The fighter for the rights of... I could hardly imagine how long she would have kept on scolding Alyssa if Electronic hadn't popped out at that very moment, shouting. I found it! I found it! Everyone turned towards him. He held a boot in his hand. Here! Electronic boastfully shook it over his head. It's Shurik's boot! Okay, calm down. Tell us in detail where you found it. In the forest, on the way to the old camp. Whispers ran among the pioneers. Old camp, the old camp. Are you sure? Absolutely. What's so special about this old camp? I joined in the conversation. It's nothing special, really, she stammered. One of the Slavyanok legends tells the story of a young camp leader's ghost living there. She fell in love with a pioneer, but he rejected her and so she killed herself. She committed harakiri with a kitchen knife. Next day, that boy was hit by a bus. Oyana ran out of the crowd. Bus? I refrained from asking about the route number. But science doesn't acknowledge the existence of ghosts, so we have nothing to be afraid of. Anyway, someone should go there. Suddenly, the crowd started to thin out. Olga Dmitrievna, it's almost night. Maybe tomorrow? I turned around and saw Slavia and Lena. What if at night something happens to him? No, today, right now. By the way, where is this place? Electronic roughly described to me the direction and told me the story of the old camp. The camp leader looked at me attentively. If you think that you're the only man here. I looked around the area. Of course. Electronic was quick to flee. I still didn't want to walk into the woods alone. If you ask me, I would. Go with Alyssa, go with Slavia, go with Olyana, go with Lena, or go alone. If we're going to some, like, haunted-ass place... Like, here's the thing, right? If I were to bring Alyssa, I feel like, just in general, that'd be the smartest choice, because I feel like she'd probably be able to help defend us. If we're gonna go with Slavia, I feel like just in general, she'd probably have more brains, but I feel like I'd probably be able to figure that stuff out. Well, I'd probably be able to figure out something on my own. Olyana's just a no-no. She's too young and too mischievous. Lena, I would only bring if I was trying to, like, you know, have her, you know, clutch onto my arm and be like, fucking Simeon, please protect me. But I'm not doing that, because I don't want to die. Listen, man, somebody disappears, a strange apple fucking appears out of nowhere. For some reason, Alyssa decided to make a bomb. And now, all of a sudden, there's an old camp with fucking ghosts and some shit. We're bringing Alyssa. What am I saying? Why would she go with me? Am I going there alone? Olga Dmitrievna looked thoughtfully. Perhaps you're right. We'll go together tomorrow morning. What? Wait, what? No. You don't get to fucking do that. I'm saving her. Just in case. You don't get to fucking do that shit. Lena, you're coming with me. I won't have to go there alone, will I? We'll go tomorrow. So it doesn't matter what you choose then. Okay, I'll go with Alyssa then. We stood in silence for some time, then dispersed around the camp. Everyone seemingly forgot about Alyssa and her terroristic act, maybe due to the minor damage it caused. Together with the camp leader, I went towards our cabin. I tried to think of why Shurik would go to the old camp. He is interested in robots and cybernetics, not scary stories and ghosts. What does that boot have to do with that? I remember how I decided to wait until something extraordinary would happen, and then I realized, this is it. Olga Dmitrievna, I think I'll take a walk before bed. Just not a long one. Okay. When I reached the square, I understood that hanging around in the forest or some other strange place may not be that scary. but doing so in the dark. I didn't want to return to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin, but I had to find a flashlight. For instance, there was one in the infirmary. I was glad I didn't spend my whole time there reading the fashion magazine. The flashlight was found quickly, and in a few minutes I was again standing at the square, pulling myself together. I just had to make the final decision before I entered the forest, moving past the pioneers' cabins, down the forest path towards the abandoned camp. I set forth. Electronic told me that the old building was built immediately after the war. It looked like a kindergarten, or like a barracks, I expected, and definitely could hold fewer pioneers than today's camps. It had been abandoned for about 20 years. It was now totally dark. The forest looked totally different at night. Mysterious shadows were hiding behind the trees, strange rustlings and the cries of night birds coming from everywhere, branches treacherously snapping under my feet. The full moon was shining, so I decided to save the battery in the flashlight. I'm sure I'll need it sometime soon. The further I moved, the more unpleasant the thoughts came into my head. I wasn't afraid of the dark at all. I didn't believe in ghosts or other mystical crap, but at the same time, during the last few days, I'd encountered so much incomprehensible phenomena that against my own will I started to read between the lines of the simplest things. Obviously, I felt exceptionally uneasily in the forest at night. Everywhere I looked, every shadow, every tree or bush looked like weird creatures escaping straight from horror movies or from Stephen King novels. A branch seemed to be someone's hand, eager to grab your shoulder. A fallen log, someone's dead body, someone who failed to get out of the forest. In every gully I saw a bottomless abyss. If I had found myself in this forest under any other circumstances, without all these buses and pioneer camps, of course I would still feel uncomfortable, but then I would be able to explain everything with logic and be afraid of nothing, except for owls and mice, of course. But at the same time, there were more than enough reasons to fear. Despite all this, I reached the old camp without any adventures. In a little glade surrounded by trees stood a house resembling a kindergarten. Paint peeled off the walls. Almost all the windows were broken. Broken masonry here and there. Holes in the roof that looked like those made of a bombing. In front of the building was a little garden, surrounded by a rusty fence. Apparently, once it was a playground with a merry-go-round, swing, slides, and other Soviet attractions. But time is cruel. All of them were broken and mutilated by corrosion. The grass was so tall that it almost came up to my waist. This turned like horror really fucking quick. The moon looked out from behind the clouds and illuminated the old camp. It seemed like everything came back to life. Windows shone with new grass, and walls looked like they'd been painted with fresh paint. I heard playful laughter, saw translucent children joyfully running and frolicking in the yard. A strict camp leader on the threshold, holding a basket with ripe apples in her hands. The old cleaning lady taking a nap in the shade. Apples? Apples? Hello? Hello? Apples? It sent chills down my spine. Of course, my imagination was just playing tricks, but the old camp itself was so familiar to all the post-apocalyptic pictures I had seen that these visions were no surprise. I stood undecided for a long moment before I dared to go further. After all, I'm here to find Shurek. Though I still don't get what he might be doing here. Though, if he even is here. A boot somewhere nearby doesn't mean anything. However, if he was not eaten by wolves, for some reason it seemed like there were no wolves in this forest. This must be the only place where he might be hiding. Hold up, guys. 1 second. I apologize. I carefully crossed the yard, pushing the tall grass apart and trying not to bump into a jagged piece of metal. But I stopped in the doorway, hesitating. An impenetrable heavy darkness stared back at me from inside. Even the bright moonlight could not illuminate any object, or even highlight a silhouette. My head was filled up with different thoughts that all said that it's better for me not to go any further and run away quickly. But I pulled myself together, turned on the flashlight, and stepped over the threshold. Inside the building looked like a typical kindergarten. I still remembered my childhood days, and so everything here looked very familiar. Sleeping room with lines of beds standing close to each other. A large playroom, toilets, a dining room, and utility rooms. Signs of the past children's joy were seen everywhere. From time to time, the flashlight drew my attention to a decaying doll, or a plastic toy car, or a punctured rubber ball, or a broken rank of tin soldiers. There was a book on a table, faded with age. I flipped through a few pages. It was a story I had read a long time ago, back in my childhood. Something about the war. Enemies destroyed the kindergarten, and all of its kids hid in the little basement together with a bunch of adults, while bombs were exploding up on the surface. I don't remember the end of the story, but as far as I remember, nobody died. Looking at the illustrations, all the emotions, fear, sadness, sympathy for the poor children, and the sense of hopelessness which I had experienced while reading this book came over me. It's strange that under exactly these conditions, right here and now, that I found this book. Probably there's someone who manages this ongoing story, who writes the scenario for this absurd play, who sews costumes for the local pioneers and creates sets like this abandoned camp. Sorry about that. To tell the truth, he's very talented. Attention is paid to even the most minor of details. Although this place was abandoned a long time ago, everything here seemed to be untouched. Of course, time didn't spare this camp. In so many ways it had often been visited by the locals. A perfect place for young people just hitting puberty. They could drink alcohol, indulge in amorous pleasures, or simply burn everything down just for fun. Electronic mentioned this place is full of legends. Legends of ghosts and devils living here. Take for example the story about the camp leader who committed suicide. In my world, nobody would believe that this could stop somebody. But in this reality, anything is possible. Certainly the fear didn't disappear, but I decided that since I'd come here, I was going to carry on to the end. The building was small, so it wasn't difficult to search it completely, but I didn't find any sign of Shirk. Maybe I should just call out to him? But on the other hand, maybe that's not such a good idea. Frustrated, I sat on a bench in the lobby and sighed. "Ghosts, where are ya?" I asked the camp, and all of a sudden, I noticed a strange depression in the corner. A small trap door. An adult would barely be able to squeeze through it, and it seemed to me that it had just recently been opened as the dust was cleared around it. And so here's the part where I need to be scared. So, Shirk went somewhere. What might be lurking beneath the trap door? A basement? What would he be doing there? I pulled open the hatch and pointed the flashlight into the darkness. There was a ladder going down a couple of meters, ending in a concrete floor. There was a low, narrow corridor disappearing into the darkness. I hesitated for a long time. On the other hand, I had absolutely no desire to go down there. But on the other hand, if Shirk was really there, I swore loudly and began to descend. What the fuck is happening? Maybe that story wasn't so much of a story. Maybe maybe all the pioneers in this camp are actually the kindergartners here. Maybe all of them actually died in the bombing. Downstairs it was so dark that even the flashlight didn't help much. A low ceiling, wires extending along the walls, broken lamps clad in iron bars. I've seen it all somewhere. I slowly started to move deeper into the dungeon. The path went down, and after a few dozen meters, ended at a stairway with high steps. Soon I found myself in front of a massive metal door. There was a sign painted on it. I looked closely and realized that it was a biohazard sign. No wonder, if the old camp was built after the war, and it lasted until the 70s. So it's an ordinary bomb shelter, and there's nothing to be afraid of. However, those thoughts made me even more scared. I made a decision and opened the door. Fuck, dude. Which immediately shut with a sharp sound as soon as I stepped through the doorway. I shuddered strongly. My hands began to tremble and my vision dimmed. I regained consciousness after a few seconds, and only then did I realize that apparently a strong spring was attached to the door. I found myself in quite a spacious room. In the beam of the flashlight I could see a bunk bed, some cabinets along the walls, and several devices of unknown purpose located in the far corner. It seems that this bomb shelter has never been used. Nobody ever came here. The beds were made. which is strange in itself. I carefully looked around the room several times. The cabinets were filled with gas masks, chemical protective suits, dry rations, various domestic odds and ends. The devices which I, at first, could determine the purpose of were gauges of radiation, air pressure, and temperature. In short, it was a typical bomb shelter. I'd never been in such a place before, but it is how I'd imagined it. The only thing that remained unexplored was the door at the other end of the room. I pulled the handle, but the door remained closed. If someone recently came down here and he wasn't found in this room, then it would be logical to assume that he's behind this door. I called out in whisper, "Shurik?" No reply. Maybe he locked himself out. But why? It was unclear what I should do next. Perhaps it would be smarter to come back tomorrow with help, but for some reason I had a feeling that behind this door, I would find answers that can't wait to be found. I walked across the room and took a crowbar from the corner. I wedged it under the bottom of the door and tried to rip it from its hinges. Oddly enough, after a while I did just that. Fortunately, it wasn't as massive as the previous door. The door gave out and slammed onto the floor. I took a deep breath and pointed the flashlight down the passage. A corridor vanished into the darkness, the same as the one which brought me here. The walls were closing in. My head almost touched the ceiling, but I could not make out the end of the corridor. I walked carefully, looking at the ground. This was the reason that I did not fall into the pit. The pit. The hole was about 1.5 meters in diameter, and there was earth at the bottom of it instead of concrete. It's a train track. It seemed that the hole was caused by an explosion. It wasn't too deep. I could easily climb out later. A mine shaft? After I jumped into the hole, I found myself in something that resembled an old mine. The walls and the ceiling were reinforced with wooden beams. The tunnel was so long that my flashlight was insufficient. A few minutes later, I found myself at crossroads. It's too dangerous to go any further. I could get lost. I decided that it would be a good idea to somehow mark the place from which I would begin my journey into the labyrinth. So I picked up a stone and made a big notch on the wall. So. Fuck, dude, what the hell is this? What is happening? Okay, if we're gonna follow classic labyrinth rules, you always stick to the left wall, right? We're gonna go left. It seems that there's another fork in the road. Ah, fuck. This is actually so fucking stressful. Alright, we're just gonna go like left, right, okay? Left, right, left, right, left, left, right. What is happening? I returned to the place where I had begun. So I took a wrong turn somewhere. Let's continue searching. Okay. I think left, right is just the right way to go, right? Let's do right. Let's do left. Let's just try and keep going left, right. I think that's the strategy. There we go. The strats. Around one last turn, a door appeared from the darkness. What is happening, dude? I opened it and went inside a small room. Nobody was here except Shurik, who sat in the corner. Shurik! He stared at me with eyes full of terror. Ah! Don't come near me! Shurik, it's me, Semyon. I won't give up so easily. He grabbed a piece of reinforced bar from behind his back and started waving it around. Shurik, what's wrong with you? Calm down. First you bring me here, then you take me through this mine, and now you're pretending to be Semyon. He must have gone completely nuts. Shurik, calm down. Nobody's pretending to be me. I really am me. I tried to talk as calmly as I could, but I was almost feeling more nervous than him. Semyon? He squinted. Is that really you? Yes. Now tell me what happened. How did you get here?
Shurk recovered his breath and started to talk. I needed some parts for the robot, and I heard that there's a bomb shelter in the old camp, and that there could be some instruments in here. So I got up in the morning and went. He stopped for a minute, tried to deal with the trembling of his hands. I found suitable parts, but then I read primal fear in his eyes. The voices, they told me to go here. I went down the mine. They were telling me to go right, then left, then right, then left, then right, then left. He started to laugh hysterically. But now they won't get me. I'll stay here. They won't find me here. He once again started to wave his pipe in the air. Shurk, there's no one here. I wasted quite a lot of time walking in the mine like you, but I didn't hear any voices. He fixed his eyes on me. Then you're with them. Shurk rushed towards me. I was just barely able to dodge him. But the flashlight wasn't as lucky, and took the force of Shurk's blow. We found ourselves in complete darkness. Now it was my turn to lose my mind. What have you done, you idiot? I lashed out with my hand in the direction where I expected Shurk to be, but to no avail. Now we're both gonna die here. I got nothing but silence in return, and then a quiet, hysterical laugh. It's alright, that's fine. I know where the exit is. Follow me. Follow you where? I can't see a damn thing. Follow my voice. I had no other choice. Here. Shurk's voice was heard from somewhere further on. How do you know where to go? I walked all over here. Then why didn't you leave? The voices. Quiet. They can hear us. In theory, I could believe that there were some supernatural forces here. In the Soviet camp, they'd just been a daily occurrence. But there was no reason to panic yet, though my hands were shaking non-stop. Here. I slowly followed his voice and eventually lost track of time. We could have been roaming for a few minutes, or a few hours. Finally, a dim light appeared on the surface. We're here. We reached the wall. The way towards freedom was blocked by a lattice on the ceiling. I pulled myself up and recognized the square from the bits of landscape I could see. Lift me up. Shurk obediently followed my request. I started to hit the grating with my fist so hard that in just a few strikes my arms were covered in blood. But in return, the grate gave way and pushed open. A minute later, we were out on the surface behind the monument of Genda. When I saw this grating before, I had no idea that there were catacombs below it. They will come for you! I fell to the ground exhausted. Who? They will come! Said Shurk again, and ran away. I was so exhausted that I couldn't even be bothered thinking about some voices or recalling the forsaken camp, the bomb shelter, or the mine. Almost unconscious, I reached the camp leader's cabin, but I couldn't go to bed right away. Well, look who's here! Olga Dmitrievna. I started tiredly, attempting to cut the explanation to a minimum. You said you were going for a walk, but instead... And I was going to go and call the police. And... Olga Dmitrievna, can I wait for tomorrow? I'm really, really tired. The camp leader eyed me all over. Okay, fine. I was a bit surprised that she agreed so fast, but decided not to waste the opportunity, and quickly turned off the light and darted under the covers. Day 5. Alright guys, well we're gonna stop it right there. So talk about some plot progression, huh? We went from this little fun daily life and Olyana's pulling pranks and Alyssa's being like all bashful and shit. And all of a sudden, Shurk's missing. Mysterious apple appears from nowhere. There's these ghosts. Like there's this ghost kindergarten. There's these, bomb shelters and mine shafts all curving underneath the camp. Shurk's down there. There's these voices and shit. What the hell, man? Good lord. So, that is... Oh, man. That is just... This... It went from 0 to 100 really quickly. Alright, so... I am excited to move on with this. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say.
But yeah, that's going to be it for this time. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the video. And if you want to see where this crazy story ends up going next, or if you want to see what other kind of videos I'm posting on here, well then a subscribe would be appreciated, and post notifications would also probably be advised. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, thank you so much for the continued support on this series and my other series. I'll see you guys next time.
Don't rain on me.